Assalamu alaikum, fam. Hope your Ramadan is going fantastic. Let's continue our refutation of this inaccurate book. I'll show you the cover once again. Okay, here it is. Yes, so he claims to speak on behalf of Islam. He has followers now. Famous musician Ice Cube, famous musician Nick Cannon, and others. And it is being promoted still, so it's my duty to show the inaccuracies. From what I'm learning, others who are more skilled can definitely tear this apart more effectively than me, but I still want to do my best. Okay, so over here, he contends, stop being a fool for false friendships of the devils. So here again, his desire to pit Muslims against each other and cause strife and malice is quite clear. He doesn't want you to have friendships with white people and causes all of us to hate each other and hate our own skin. He contends that any friendship or relationship with someone who's pale will always be false. It is quite sick. Further, over here, he says, we are the makers of divine histories. Wait a minute. What? Humans? He's saying black people are the makers of divine histories. Wait a minute, you're supposed to attribute everything in creation to Allah. He has no partners, no associates. He's in full control. Nothing happens except by the will of Allah. Boom, already there. Inconsistent. Okay, further. And who is better in knowledge than Allah? Do you see what he just did? He says, who is better in knowledge than Allah? That's a Quranic way of phrasing something, right? But in the previous words, he's attributed to humans the knowledge of Allah without attributing all knowledge to Allah. Very clever rhetoric tricks that the average person who doesn't read Allah would not pick up. It's very slick, this guy. Very slick. Okay, he continues further. Man is easily made. Yes, that's true. Everything is easy for Allah. But the sun, moon, and stars are much harder to make. Excuse me? Nothing is hard for Allah. Boom, just right there. Now, you can say, is the sun more complicated than a human being? But everything is easy for Allah. How can you compare a human anatomy with an entity as the moon and the stars? It's really, truly like that old saying, comparing apples and oranges, right? Dimensions and context and necessity and purpose come into play in order to measure any rank of difficulty, but that is futile, right? You cannot say anything is hard because it's under the dominion of Allah. And what does he say here? Yet we are the makers of them. Oh, we, he's saying as in black people. Wait a minute now. 2 times here he says, we are the makers of divine histories. We are the makers of them. He's saying black people were the ones who created the sun, moons, and stars. He doesn't say Allah. Do you see that? Do you see how he words it? It's blasphemy. Straight heresy right there. Okay. In making the moon, it was not our original Father's intention. This is Christian phrasing. Calling Jehovah Father is a Christian phrasing. Muslims, from my understanding, they don't call him Father. So he claims to be a Muslim, yet he's calling Allah by a Christian title, right? It was not our original Father's intention to make the moon as it is. Where is that written? His real intention was to destroy the moon, the earth, but failed. Whoa. Allah failed? Wait a minute. You see? And all others who make such attempts will fail. Well, what humans are trying to create a sun and moon and stars. I mean, I know that there's secret experiments going on in military labs, right? Trying to create animal-human hybrids, trying to do weather control, sound weapons, all that. Maybe one day they'll attempt to make something like that, but they're not at that level yet. They got a ways to go. He is attributing intentions to Allah and then says Allah failed in doing something as easy as the moon. Think about that. And then he attributed it to only one race that they made the sun, moons, and stars. That is attributing partners to Allah. Again, this is an inaccurate painting of Islam that is being promoted by musicians in America and being adopted by them in mainstream areas. So, quite absurd. Quite absurd. But remember, a lot of Muslim scholars like yourselves will clearly see this. But this is also for Americans who have never even read one surah or ayat of the Quran, and they hear these people pushing this man's work, and then they become more fearful of Muslims, and it puts Muslims in danger and causes strife unnecessarily. I mean, he slanders the Christians and the Muslims and is just making up it as he goes. A lot of what he's saying is like cryptic, hybrid occultism with this weird new history of anthropology and such, and astrology. It is pretty bizarre. He is in no way a Muslim by any means.